Hello there, and welcome to a Viridescent Talk Quarantine Edition. As of this moment, we are hours into the state. For those of you who are listening outside of my state, I live in New York State, and just hours ago, the executive order shutting down or requiring all non-essential citizens of the state to stay at home under pretty much quarantine just went into effect. Again, just a few hours ago as of this recording. And what better way or what better reason to get my podcast back out into the world. I hope those of you who are listening are dealing with it well and, doing what you can to pass the time, whether you're binge watching new stuff or going back through the past and binge watching old stuff, playing as many board games as you can, video games. If you've got kids, obviously hanging with your kids, and just doing the best you can to make all this time being more or less shut in go as smoothly as possible, because this quarantine, if you will, is indefinite. That's as far as I know. I'm going to try my best not to throw numbers and facts out there, because quite honestly, I've just gotten basics. I've just tried to soak in what I know, or what I need to know, rather. I'm sorry. Just the basics of, where can I go? Where can I not go? Is there a curfew? Etc. So, again, hopefully this, listening to this podcast and many other podcasts out there help you, get through this, this ordeal as best you can, because without sounding like High School Musical, we are all in this together. So yeah, we're gonna get through this. I hope that this virus, the coronavirus, has not affected anyone close to you, and if it has, I would like to add to the well wishes, blessings, prayers towards those who are affected, young and old, especially old, and especially the really, really young. Those who are most at risk need as much good luck, need as much help, need as much blessings as they can get to get through this, because as many of you know, whether you're looking at social media, which I hope you're not just looking at social media, but when, looking at just media period, the news out there, people are losing this battle. I mean, this isn't just some common cold. This is a real thing. So just to be optimistic, we'll get through it. All right, moving on. All right, so this episode is actually my 10th episode, just generally speaking. The last time I did an episode was roughly 4 months ago. Yeah, last year, I think into the fall of 2019 was the last episode I did, and that was actually a video episode that went, it's on YouTube. If you're searching on YouTube, you'll actually get all of my previous 9 episodes. 5 of them are videos, the first 4 are audios, but all 9 of them are found on YouTube. If you go on YouTube, just search for the channel of Viridescent Talk, and you'll find them all there. But anyway, I figured I'd just give a little bit of an update without babbling on too much. about what has gone on the last, let me see, it's March now. Oh, I counted wrong. I'm sorry. If it was 4 months ago, I mean, we're talking like towards the end of the year. So we're talking like November or so. So yeah, since then, I'll give you a rundown. I got through the holidays. I thought a major life change I was going through or had been going through all of 2019 was finally going to end. And it didn't. In fact, coming into, I guess, this last full week of March, it still ain't done. And because of government shutdowns and, social distancing, personal distancing, all that, it's likely not going to end anytime soon. All right, truth be told, it was a divorce, okay? The divorce process started towards the end of 2018, and if you listen to my previous episodes, I talk about it. And as time went on, as the months went on, this thing just dragged on. There was delay after delay after delay. And yeah, it's supposed to be over by now, but it's not. But on the lighter side, both my sons, I have 2 boys. One of them crossed the threshold into being a teenager, and he won't hesitate to let you know that he is one, like any teenager. So that's to be expected. It'll be interesting to see going through this whole crisis, if you will, this health crisis, whether or not school will be back open in time for him to graduate. Typically, I'd like to see him, walk across the stage and get a diploma and, be a proud parent and the environment many parents, generation after generation, are used to. But only time will tell if we get through this sooner rather than later. My other son turned 3 around the same time as my eldest. They have birthdays in the same month and are separated by just a week. But my little guy turned 3, and he thinks he's just as independent as his 13-year-old brother. Let's just put it that way. I will tell you this, for those of you who don't have 3-year-olds or, maybe just had kids and you're watching your little babies grow, they get to that point where your children feel that they're really independent. Potty time is going to take like 20 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes if you're lucky, but it's going to take a while because your child, obviously feels like, I can take all this off, go get in the potty, do what I got to do, and then put it all back on. Oh, and then you got to wash your hands, especially now. But anyway, that's happened. I still have my job. Work is going great. I obviously hadn't done a podcast episode in a while, but in the meantime, I still try to stay as creative as possible, or to just try to keep something creative in my life going. So I decided to get back to writing, and I have begun. I'm still in the first chapter, but I've got some words down. Some sentences, paragraphs down on the first chapter of a novel I hope to complete. And quite frankly, if I don't complete this during this, quarantine, or if I don't get a decent amount of it done, then I've got a real problem with procrastination. That's to say the least. Anyway, I laid low again, especially in the social media, on a social media level. Did I stay away too long? Maybe. Did I leave your mind or your minds when I was gone? Maybe. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm channeling my inner Michael Jackson back when he was younger and darker. But anyway, that's pretty much been life. And I know it's not exciting probably really boring, but that's what I've been up to, for those of you who care. So anyway, we're gonna move on to another segment, topic of discussion. Stick around. All right, as some of you listeners might have guessed, I'm going to have a segment, a topic of discussion about love and relationships. And it seems like that kind of thing is going to be really interesting right now with everything that's going on, when you take into consideration everything that's going on. I've seen, memes out there about this theoretical baby boom that's going to happen. When all this is over, for that I will say that, those of you who end up having babies, y'all better hope this is over and you can just, go to a hospital like you normally would, without having to worry about catching this thing by the time you're ready to, have said baby, because y'all two been shacked up for so long that pulling out just starts to get boring. And I really hope that's not the case. I mean, as much as it's okay for people to, have babies, I mean, if they're, capable enough, all else, considered, I don't think many people should be planning for that right now. It just doesn't seem like it would be the most plausible thing to do, just considering the health crisis and what hospitals are now trying to be equipped to do. You don't want to put yourself in that kind of predicament if this thing lasts, for months and months and months, But I've also seen memes out there about those of you who have side pieces, hoping that you don't, end up having to get quarantined or, stuck inside with your side pieces. Because then your true significant others will, they'll find out, and then all hell breaks loose, and then y'all gonna have to, while you're in quarantine, I don't know, Skype your attorneys while y'all try to figure out, your divorce proceedings and all that shit. But I've seen memes for that. I've seen, other related memes to that going, okay, those of y'all got side pieces, y'all better, get your last few strokes in before y'all pack it up during this quarantine. Because you guys can't necessarily hide going out anymore. You can't say you're going to one place while you're going to another one. I mean, you could say, yeah, I'm going for a walk, but man, that wears off pretty quick. But anyway, yeah, those of you in those kind of predicaments or those kind of situations, yeah, I'm going to have some to figure out before all hell breaks loose when everything is all over. I mean, I think, yeah, a lot of babies, there's going to be a baby boom, absolutely. And I also think there's going to be a divorce and possible, domestic dispute boom, if, you want to call it that. But anyway, this will be very interesting for folks who are single. What's that saying? Single and ready to mingle. But obviously there's no mingling going on unless you're FaceTiming or using the WhatsApp or, Skype, whatever. There's no such thing as mingling right now with the whole social distance thing. I mean, the social distance thing calls for more than that stupid, you can't be within 6 inches of each other at those like school dances and that kind of thing. We got to be further apart, it seems like, in order to contain the spread of this goddamn virus. But what I think is interesting about this is, for those folks who are trying to establish a new connection, this will be a really trying time for people. I can imagine trying for someone, a very difficult time for someone like myself who cannot rely on social interaction to either establish or further establish or solidify a romantic connection. Some people are going to be subjected to texting if that's their thing. I mean, there are some people out there who like calling, voice to voice interaction, and that's great. That's cool. I'm for both. But when you really think about it, people are going to have to just via conversation really try probably as hard as they've ever had to try to first establish that connection, and then secondly keep that connection going, keeping it interesting, intriguing, and definitely promising, so that when this quarantine is lifted, these two parties still are, hopefully are still eager enough that they want to meet each other and take something to the next step or take it further. I mean, from personal experience, it's hard enough for someone to even be interested and stick to that word. I mean, I can't tell you how many times someone has told me that they are interested, or they're really intrigued or something. They're into me, great conversation, they find me attractive, I find them attractive, whatever, all that usual stuff that usually happens under normal circumstances when you establish a connection or you're trying to, and then it just falls by the wayside. And I'm not saying it's always happened to me. I've done it too. I mean, I think that's part of the game now, how it is in this society. People establish contacts and then they just don't, or they establish contacts, they go out, a few times or whatever, and the chemistry is there, and then, other things take over. Other things tend to be a bigger priority, and you dating is on the back burner, unfortunately. That's just the way it goes. But I think for people now, and I know there's folks out there on, dating websites or dating apps, and they're making connections, they're sending likes or whatever, or smiles, or sending messages, talking to each other, and they're making at least that basic kind of initial connection. But this is when all the flash and pizzazz, which, God, who uses that word anymore? I don't know. But all the stuff that you're used to when you really start trying to date somebody without having to worry about, spreading a virus, that doesn't exist anymore. And folks are going to have to rely on just the genuine interest one person has in another one, or getting to know someone and finding out what they have in common or what they don't have in common, things that might complement the things they find out about the other person that might complement what they already know about themselves, stuff like that. We as a people are going to have to take a couple of steps back as far as technology is concerned, I think, and really take the time to focus and get to know someone. Because unless you are doing a lot of constant FaceTiming, I mean, which is not the same as sitting, across the table from someone or walking with them, through a park or whatever, you're really going to have to focus and listen to that person, and vice versa. That, for me personally, is that does give me some anxiety, because I'm an overthinker. When I feel like I've made a connection, and then the the conversation would fall by the wayside, or I get ghosted or something, I'm sitting back wondering, all right, what did I say? What did I say, at this minute, or what did I say at this hour? What did I say yesterday? Maybe I should have said hi a different way. Maybe I shouldn't have used an emoji, or whatever. Or maybe I should have wore this color when I did meet her, or maybe I shouldn't have cracked this joke, or maybe we should have met here. Maybe I should have asked her out on this day of the week and not that one. Maybe I should have given her more compliments, or maybe I should have, not laughed so hard. All kinds of that overthinkers like myself, and those of you out there that overthink too much about a situation, or what's perceived as a very nervous situation, it something like this is going to make it even worse. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I've looked at my phone sometimes because I thought I heard it vibrate, even though it's on ring, and I'm thinking, oh, somebody said something. No, not the case. Or I play around in my mind, knowing that I got a message from someone, I got a text message or whatever from someone, and for some reason my mind is already trying to come up with what it says before I even open it. And then it says something, and it's like, oh, I thought this was going to go differently. Whatever. This kind of thing is going to wreak havoc, even, I think, with those of us who tend to overthink social situations, even though people getting to know each other, trying to establish relationships or friendships, or just a new connection that could turn into romance or something very deep, very long term. This is the new social situation, and this is how we're gonna have to establish these connections. I mean, for those of you out there who are looking, who are trying to find the right person, or the right connection, a genuine connection. Oh gosh, and I mean, completely slipped my mind. I just thought, and I've heard this from a lot of women, and it's kind of always been that way, more so from women than men. Women, those of you women out there who are trying to find a real connection, a genuine connection, where you don't have to worry, or you don't have to wonder as much if your guy or girl is misleading you, or if they're trying to take advantage of you. I imagine this is gonna be harder, more difficult, because you can't necessarily, like, if you're just deducted to texting or messaging, you're gonna have to read body language. So without body language, it's going to be tough for you guys to tell whether or not somebody's telling you what you want to hear, or if they're being genuine. So this is going to be real interesting to see, who's coming into this with high hopes, and who's coming out of it with fairy tale ending, or a happily ever after, or disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. Because then, even let's say you do make a connection, if we still can't go out and do what do we do? We're screwed without actually getting screwed, if you know what I mean, or screwing. But anyway, my mind's going off somewhere else. So I guess through all this, for those of us out there who are trying to, find something real, find something true, find something that lasts, here's hoping that we all do, and it lasts at least through this whole quarantine. Let's stay optimistic out there, folks. Okay, we're going to move on to another segment. Stick around. Okay, I got one for you. I ran into Arnold Schwarzenegger at the grocery store, and I asked him, "Where'd you get that toilet paper?" He said, "I'll be back." You're welcome.
Okay, Mommy's brother is Mike? Well, then who's Uncle Steve?
All right, this next topic is not something personal to me, but I just figure this is something that can be talked about. And like many things, I feel like in the coming weeks and months will, in some way, shape, or form, have something to do with this virus situation. And this particular thing has to do with the upcoming Summer Olympic Games, the 2020 Summer Olympics in Tokyo, Japan. And I first heard of this earlier in the day, and it was more so in regards to Canada. Canada is actually refusing to send any of their athletes abroad to the Olympics unless the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, actually postpones the game or the games and makes sure it is completely safe from start to finish, safe from infection, a contagion, or any other health mishap or whatever. The biggest country, if not one of the biggest, the United States, as far as coronavirus cases, at this point now has the third highest number of cases behind China and, very unfortunately, Italy, who are losing people, hundreds or 100 after 100. I mean, they're losing so many people from this virus. It's just a shame. There are other countries like France, obviously is declaring this virus scare as a health emergency. Australia, similar to the United States and other countries, have closed their restaurants, movie theaters, and places of worship to try to combat the spread of this virus. Many countries, your popular countries that you see if you watch Olympic Games, heck, even the Winter Games, of course, depending on the sports that you're into, these more popular countries are the more populous countries, and it's very likely that they have a higher number of cases, a higher number of chance of spreading the virus without proper precautions, and so forth. So these countries that are all under normal circumstances would plan to gather and eventually for sure gather in one condensed area. All it takes is one person to have the virus still, I suppose, and then that just spreads like wildfire. I mean, and that's not even just the athletes. We're talking about the family members or coaches they might bring along, and spectators, tourists that are there to see history or possible history in the making. It's something to be said. It's very interesting to see that Canada, because they seem to have a better frame of mind or a better plan of action to do what needs to be done as far as the safety of their citizens in comparison to the United States, especially in this case. And they were the first ones to say, we're not risking any of our citizens for the Olympic Games. I know it's disappointing to some of these athletes who have been training for definitely for months and possibly years just to get to the games, to then be told that they cannot compete, they cannot participate. for one, I can't imagine how disappointing that is. But I mean, I just hope that they all find some kind of comfort in the concept of protecting their health and safety. But yeah, Canada was just like, no, we're not risking the health and safety of our citizens for these games. The IOC is setting, I think, a self-imposed deadline in the next 3 or 4 weeks to have a plan of action to actually still hold the games on schedule. I guess folks in the IOC feel like it wouldn't solve the problem. There's no right way or wrong way. I don't know. If they did postpone the games, I don't know. I'm not one of those decision makers. I'm not on the board. I'm not on the committee, whatever. But I just, for me personally, I feel like, you guys do whatever you have to do to make sure people are safe, make sure that they can, maintain their health and safety. I mean, quite frankly, as far as the Olympics go, as far as fans or, people who are avid watchers of Olympic competition, they could just do it like any other sport is doing it. I mean, I turn on my television and I see the NFL Network playing old games or highlights from old games. I see the MLB Network playing old stuff. As a baseball fan, I follow MLB Network. I follow Major League Baseball, period. And I just saw yesterday they're going to replay all the games from the World Baseball Classic, which wasn't a bad tournament, actually. I watched some of those games, but anyway. There's a whole Olympic channel, depending on how you stream your television. I'm a streamer. I don't use cable anymore, but there's a whole Olympic channel that plays nothing but international sporting events, and they have played past Olympic game events, summer and winter, and even paraplegic, even Special Olympic stuff. I mean, they've played it all, I guess, and they can still do that, I guess, to hold folks over. But again, that's something that I thought was a topic worth discussing. They seem to want to continue on business as usual and stay on schedule, but the Olympics is a global thing, and I don't think the Olympics are more important than global health and safety. But I guess in the coming weeks and months, we'll see what happens for those of you who are interested. Oh well. Moving on. Stick around. All right. What I'm going to do is just close up this episode. I just wanted to do just a little bit, and this is definitely a little bit in comparison to what I've put out before. I'm usually pushing at least an hour in all my episodes that I've put out thus far, and this is definitely my shortest one. Maybe I'll have a better grasp of what to talk about without going too much into, viruses, quarantines, who's sick, who's not sick, social distancing, all the new hashtag words, if you will, going forward through this thing. I'll definitely shoot to have a longer episode out for those of you who want to keep listening to my voice for an extended period of time. If you do, please give me your phone number or your Instagram or whatever. I'd love to talk to you more. Wink, wink, ladies. Anyway, I just hope that we are all getting through this whole thing as best we can Some folks don't do well with so much isolation, and if you can get outside and walk, I mean, hell, even if you walk around your block 10 times, that's still getting out, it's still getting fresh air, it's still getting some sunlight, and just getting a small taste of the world around you outside of your four walls and a roof. If you're, holed up with someone, I hope it's someone you love and respect, and will continue to love and respect through this whole thing. If you're alone and you can't do well with anxiety, I hope you're doing something or as much as you can to relieve it. Whether you're listening to music, or you're doing yoga, or you're writing creatively like I am, or I'm trying to. I will tell you, writer's block is but that's a whole other story. Or maybe you're doing a lot more video gaming, or you're painting, or exercising, working out, whatever. I hope that everyone's getting through this. And I know I'm going to do my best to contribute to the cause if there is a cause. I'm going to try my best to put out as many episodes as I can through this whole thing. So fingers crossed. Best of luck to all of you. Best wishes. Many blessings. We'll get through this. And we'll all be able to, when it's all over, look back and, have all these funny stories or interesting stories about how we passed the time, or how we snuck around, or how we completely disobeyed suggestions and or advice and or straight up rules or guidelines. But we still made it. So, anyway, this is going to be the end of my 10th episode of A Viridescent Talk. I hope you guys come back. I hope you, subscribe to my channel. I hope you share it. I hope you talk about it. Any listeners I can get, I truly appreciate. Thank you for taking the time to listen, or even watch the older episodes. Thank you so much. I hope you guys come back again soon, or next time. Let's put it that way. I hope you guys come back again next time. Thanks for listening. Take care. Be safe out there. Special thanks to Iron Buffalo, coffee, gaming, and a little bit of comics. Look for him on Facebook and Instagram. Again, that's Iron Buffalo.